can understand your character. You literally get to the next line, and the director explains to you what it means. Like, what am I talking about? And the director says, well, what's happened before is this, and what's going to happen is this, and that's what leads you to say this. Rolling.
It's kind of interesting because, I mean, even if you're not necessarily a fan of a particular show you wind up on, you end up gaining fans in a sense because they're, I'm sure,
Right,
among
people
the
who are
anime
interested
circles,
in
they're
this
like,
show, and you're the one playing the character. But like I said, I approach it more in my personal life from a business standpoint
In other
and
words,
from
it's
an
a job.
artistic standpoint. Yeah, it's
It's a gig.
It's my job.
Yeah.
I look at it as my job.
But as long as you love what you do,
Yeah, it's great. What a great job.
and it's
But if
kind
I
of-
don't approach it like that, I mean, I have professional considerations. I mean, I have to make a living.
Yeah.
So I approach it professionally. And professionally, my job is actor, Really, all it comes down to is how I say the lines.
entertainment's an interesting industry because it's sort of like, in most industries, you got to love what you do, but in this industry, you find that not only do you love what you do, but other people love what you do. That's
Right,
kinda
you get a little
weird.
bit of praise and acknowledgement. It helps.
You do. I mean, the guy who invented the guy who invented that light that you stick it on anywhere and you screw in the light bulb and
Uh-huh.
it turns on. I mean, I'm pretty sure that people aren't going, oh man, I loved it when you turned the thing on.
And you pressed it
you
in and
put
it came on.
And you put it under the countertop. That was so awesome. I mean, but you do a show and,
Right,
you
you
know,
get
you wind up-
letters from people, or you go to conventions.
yeah,
and
you wind up like Comic-Con or
people
something.
cheer.
Were you at the Comic-Con thing? Did they take you to that thing?
I've been to that in the past, mostly speaking on a panel for this cartoon series called Roughnecks Starship Troopers Chronicles that I was in.
Really? Which one? Which character were you in?
I played Colonel Tafai. He was an alien. That's the only time I've been to Comic-Con was to speak about that series. I haven't gone to Comic-Con for anime. In fact, in my whole career, I've only been to two conventions. Two conventions.
Wow. It's kind of interesting because Reno Romano is in one of our shows.
Yeah. Reno
Rico.
was on
Rico.
Starship Troopers, totally. I've worked with Reno a lot of times. Go Reno.
Woo!
He's also the voice of everything on the old WB and the new CW.
Really? Is he's the announcer?
Promo
He's
announcer.
the promo
Mhm.
announcer. Wow. I had no idea.
Listen, you'll be able to tell when you start watching from now on.
Oh, that's interesting.
Tonight on the WB.
It used to be Jim. Well, what was
There's
it? Jim
several
Cummings.
Several people do it.
When it
Reno's
was
one of them.
when it was the frog, when they were overly shticking the frog on
Right,
everything.
Reno was after that.
Yeah, that was Jim Cummings when they were doing the whole
And
frog
Brett
thing.
Erickson. There's several people who do it.
Yeah, I know Bob Bergen was doing Disney Channel. They would get a call at 2 in the morning because they changed the time slot, and he would have to get up at 2 in the morning and do a promo.
Jesus.
It's like, oh man, maybe I don't want to be in this. Maybe I should have been a doctor. I do love this industry because it's just kind of neat to do what you love and then receive validation for it.
Yeah,
Receive
you feel good
acknowledgement.
about it until you read something about yourself on the internet, and then you realize, okay, I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah, I'm not going to hang out with that hooker anymore. She told. But yeah, I mean, like, you're still a wheel and a cog in a larger machine.
Right.
But each individual cog in this large machine stands out. The composers who do the music, they stand out. They've
Yeah,
got their
there's
own
people who
fans.
write, direct, and in animation anyway, dialogue is only a small aspect of it. That's why there's a dialogue director who is not the director of the episode. The director of the episode is the director.
Yeah, the animation director.
Right. It's about that. It's not about dialogue.
And actually, it's funny because there's an animation director, but there's also two other directors. There's a timing director and
Right.
a regular director.
It all has to make sense.
Yeah, the director handles pre-production, and the timing director handles the timing, to write down the exposure sheets. Basically, takes the dialogue and breaks it down phonetically so that when they animate it overseas or wherever, they, the mouth syncs up with the actual voice. And then there's the animation director who's overseas, who supervised the animation team over there.
Yeah.
And then if you have a separate BG house, there's a BG director. In Japan, they do that a lot. They have a BG. They have art houses that only do backgrounds, and they do phenomenal jobs. I mean, they have a director and a team, and they only focus on the style and the level of detail.
Right.
Because you get your own crew working on it on the background separately, and you get a show that has a specific look and it's followed through.
Always, definitely. And then there's things like motion capture in some shows and all of that kind of stuff.
I don't know if they're using motion capture as much anymore.
Yeah.
There was a big push for CG in the late 90s. Action Man, Max Steel, Beast Machines, Reboot, all that stuff.
Right. Well, that's true. In that category, Starship Troopers, and then it
Starship
didn't play
Troopers.
for TV.
Well, wasn't it like it took so long to produce the show?
I think it was such a pain in the ass, yeah.
Yeah, because the first 5 weeks I heard they played the first episode 4 times, and most networks like dropped it because they kept having to air the same episode.
Mm-hmm.
But now, it's funny. It's funny. It's kind of fallen backwards, and that's not to diss anime, but anime is a very flat 2D style.
Yeah.
And it's overtaken the technological
It
advancement
has.
of
In
CG.
the last 5 years,
Yes.
it's really come up.
Well, we're wrapping it up here, so I'd like to thank our special guest, Steve Staley, for coming in today and being on the podcast. Do you have any last words for the listeners, as they say on the radio?
Keep tuning into those cartoons, people.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks, Avi.
All right, we'll see you all later.
Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to the VoiceOver Podcast. For questions and comments, email us at me@avimelman.com. We look forward to your comments. Avi Melman's VoiceOver Podcast is recorded in the main studio booth at Cybergraphics Animation. It's produced by Avi Melman and edited by Paul Mendicini of Extreme Audio Design. This session is engineered by Robert Powell using Digi 002 Pro Tools 7.0 LE. Goading of guests and repeated poking with sticks are provided by Mario Deanna Jr. Phony Scottish Brogue provided by Tadao Tomomatsu. Jolly Green Giant's wardrobe provided by Botany 5000. Celebrity voices are impersonated by the celebrities appearing in this podcast, and no voice actors were harmed in any way that you would notice when listening to them on television. All clips will copyright their respective owners, and your precious animated characters are safe if you follow my instructions. Avi Melman's VoiceOver Podcast is copyright 2006.